Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about one specific type of manga which I already talked about in a previous video. The Isekai mangas, a type of fantasy manga that nowadays has been overused to the point where it has become unoriginal and really repetitive. And of course, what do I think about Isekai mangas in general?
That is one big pile of shit.
Indeed, most of them are objectively really trash for reasons that I briefly mentioned in the first video. But accidentally, I found an Isekai which has captivated me until now. An Isekai, ladies and gentlemen, totally different from what you may have seen before. This manga, actually it's a manhwa, a Korean manga if you prefer, called FFF Class Trash Hero, is about a hero who is summoned into a fantasy world in order to beat the Demon King. Up to this point, nothing is really out of ordinary, and even quite common in Isekai. But after 10 years spent in this world, he ends up killing the Demon King as he was supposed to, but he killed as well his former comrades, the members of his party, after he fulfilled the call that the gods gave him. Yes, they are called technically gods and no one knows what their identity is. The hero is given a rating depending on his actions, like for example strength, character, etc. Just like a test, if you prefer. Of course, you more or less guessed it, thanks to the title, that one of his ratings is of course F, which is the worst grade you can get, and it causes him to repeat his journey all over again until he gets a better note. And to be honest, it is quite frustrating to think that you haven't seen your friends and family for 10 years, and when you think time has finally come to go back home and to rest, the gods say nope. What a sweet middle finger. I know what you may think, that to remain polite is a scumbag, nothing more but an asshole.
That's alright.
But when you take 2 minutes to think about it, just by being summoned, is, in other words, kidnapped. He doesn't want to be a hero. Why would he lose his time acting like if he was one? What gives the gods the right to dictate his behavior? As the story goes on, little by little, you learn more and more about the main character's point of view. Basically, what led him to be, from a point of view, from our standards, evil, mercilessly killing, seeing people as nothing more but free XP. Learn that during 10 years he was left alone. He had no financial support from people who dared summon him. Kidnapped him, I should say. When he entered the party that he formed, he was forced to do all the chores,
For fuck's sake!
and was treated like garbage and looked down by them. What I really love about this manga is how it highlights all the annoying things in Isekai, like the adventurers who constantly look down on you, a party composed of nothing but scums, like the annoying tsundere, for example, the naive saint, which is honestly quite the most bearable compared to the others. There's as well the over-friendly and violent bully, the arrogant former slave and racist elf, and of course the fact that the main character is brain dead and is too merciful. The more the story goes on, the more I began rooting for him. In the title, there are 3 halves, meaning that in the story you'll have to repeat his journey several times. If you're interested, the manhwa is based on a light novel which is far ahead on the manga. The worst part about all of this bullshit with all of this fantasy world called Fantasia, what an original name, is that when it repeats a year, no, actually 10 years, not a year, he gets a special instructor who gives him shitty morally good advices which aren't of any use and are just a burden. For example, when talking about all the bullshit she tells him, the special instructor tells him, she tells him to be nice and to go attached to scumbags to finally leave them once he kills the Demon Kings and passes the test, and as a result, getting back to his original world. So, just a question. What's the fucking point of doing that? Having your heart broken one wasn't enough? And yeah, this is why he has to risk his life for people who treat him as nothing more but an object. Moreover, remember that when he was summoned, he was still an immature kid forced to do things he didn't want. Just imagine 10 years. 10 fucking years. His friend and his family have grown 10 years older in a world, and he still has the same age as when he was summoned. And he's forced to repeat all over again and again. In which way does it benefit the god? I wonder. Screw it. If I was in his shoes, I would have said, well, screw it. Fuck this world, fuck the people, and most of all, fuck the gods. And the worst part about all of this summoning, defeating the Demon King bullshit is that there are several wars like that actually. There are many parallel wars in which different teenagers are summoned separately and with us actually always the same scenario and the same world. It's like parallel dimensions. It's just crazy. I think I really root for the hero at this point. So that's it. That was all I could say without spoiling too much about this manga. Go take a look. It's really interesting. To my humble opinion, in my humble opinion, this manga is a fucking gem. The pace is neither too slow nor too fast, it isn't boring. Seeing unwilling people get wrecked is a pleasure to my eyes and will be to yours. And I'm looking forward to the next chapters coming out. I give it a 9 out of 10. A wizard in sustain, it's not 10, it's because I find him maybe too much short-sighted and has regularly bad surprises, or maybe minus 1 point because of instructor, which I absolutely can't stand. You will see by yourself once you read it. So that was all for video. Thank you for watching and bye bye.